All right, now that you're stretching the legs and the 17 stretch is over, we're in for the main course. Our main speaker will be introduced. And to introduce our main speaker, I'm going to call on Mr. Maurice Wilson. Hey. All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, members of the head table, members of the press corps, members of the clergy, members of the diplomatic corps, friends, supporters, and well-wishers, thank you for your presence. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce David Arthur Granger, a man with integrity and vision, and I would like to repeat that, integrity and vision, which I consider the two most important qualities in leadership. Who is David Granger? He is the leader of the PNCR, the People's National Congress Reform. He is the leader of APNU, a partnership for national unity. He is the leader of the opposition in the National Assemblies of Guyana. Who is David Granger? He's a soldier. He's a teacher. He's an author. He's an historian. He is a husband, a father, and a friend. Who is David Granger? He is the man that is leading the fight against corruption, nepotism, racism, and oppression in Guyana. Who is David Granger? He is the man that would make sure Guyanese live up to the true meaning of their motto. One people, one nation, one destiny. Who is David Granger? He's our presidential candidate for the upcoming general and regional elections on May 11th, 2015 in Guyana. Who is David Granger? He's our president in waiting. Ladies and gentlemen, the days of, in the context of power, the days of Saul is over, and the days of David is now. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me in welcoming David Arthur Granger to the podium. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you very much, Morris. Thank you very much, Benita and Benny. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Please be seated. Guyanese. It's good to be called Guyanese. You feel good? To come from the best, the biggest, the most bountiful Caribbean country, Guyana. I'm happy to be here with you because I always speak about the diaspora as being half of Guyana. Guyana is a nation divided in two, half in South America and half in North America. And the two halves are better together. We mustn't allow the two halves to be divided. We are one. And today my message is that we are better together. Today my message is that North America and South America, the diaspora and those residents in our homeland, have come together. We've come together in the form of APNU and AFC. Yesterday I was at a forum chaired by Dr. Somar, and he used the word transformation. And APNU and AFC coming together is about transformation. Transformation of the political culture of Guyana and transformation of the economic development of Guyana. And this is the promise APNU and AFC give out to you today. We are not going back to winner-takes-all politics. We are moving forward to the politics of national unity. For the first time in 6 decades, 2 parties have come together, parties which already represent the majority. 175,000 persons voted for us in 2011. Even if we perform at the same level as we did in 2011, we will win. But we also want to transform the economy of Guyana. And that is why we want the 2 halves of Guyana, North and South America, to come together to transform our politics as we're doing now, and also to transform our economy. My brothers and sisters, why are you here? You're here today because you're Guyanese. But you're here in America because you wanted a good life. And we want you to enjoy that good life in Guyana. We want you to be able to take your children and grandchildren back to your villages, back to your communities, and show them where you grew up. Just as Moses and I grew up at Wim. I know you want to go back, but you want to be safe. And the person to make you safe is standing right before you. We know the problems that Guyana is suffering from now, and we want to guarantee your security. We want to guarantee your safety. And that will be guaranteed by this government of national unity. APNU was formed 3.5 years ago. It was made up of 5 parties, which never cooperated before. The Guyana Action Party is mainly an Amerindian party, based in the Rupununi, led by Sidney Allicock. The Justice for All Party, led by Jaipal Sharma. The National Front Alliance, the Working People's Alliance. In Parliament, when we had a Parliament, it was led by Rupert Rupenrine and the PNCR. 5 parties came together to form a Partnership for National Unity. And on the 6th of December last year, Kemra Dramjatan, the leader of the Alliance for Change, committed AFC to come into a pre-election coalition. Never before has it happened. But now we are better together because we are guaranteed of a majority. We are guaranteed that we will become the next government of Guyana, and we are guaranteed that we will transform Guyana. We speak about national unity because our country is divided. And we are aware that the division has prevented not only the unity of country, but has prevented the development of our country. And what is happening at present is not just a matter of division between Africans and Indians. There's also division among the indigenous people who see their land, who see their resources falling into the hands of foreigners. Last week, Sunday, 6 days ago, I was standing at Kalkuni in the Berbice River. And what do I see? I see the Russian barges taking raw bauxite out of Guyana. What do I see? I see the Chinese barges 2 stories high with logs, raw lumber, taking lumber out of Guyana. And when I look around Kalkuni, when I look around Ibini, when I look around Kokwani, what do I see? I see poor indigenous people who are poor, who are becoming strangers in their own land. And let me tell you a story. I've never in my life seen logs piled 2 stories high on a barge that I saw last Sunday. But a poor Amerindian farmer in Kalkuni acquired a chainsaw and decided he's going to cut down a few trees to make a living for his family. And the Guyana Forestry Commission descended on him, seized his equipment, and put him out of business. So he and other people like him feel that they're becoming strangers in Guyana, that they cannot cut down trees, but foreign companies can come and cut down the forest. We have to prevent the loss of our legacy, the legacy that our forefathers, enslaved Africans, indentured Indians, Amerindians, bequeathed us. They bequeathed Guyana. It was the biggest Caribbean country. And we are losing our bequest. We are losing what we ought to have inherited because the government that we have in Guyana at present is not looking after the interests of the ordinary people. That is why we've come together, because we're better together, we're stronger together, and we are going to prevent the plunder of our resources. We have had a winner-takes-all system of government. And because of that winner-takes-all system of government, we are in this position today. And on the 28th of November 2011, the people of Guyana went out to vote in favor of the opposition, APNU and AFC. 175,000 persons supported us. 166,000 persons voted for the PPP. That is one of the reasons, let me tell you, do not take things for granted, do not be complacent. The list has suddenly gone up by 100,000 to 567,000. We will keep your eyes open. We'll have to deal with that. How in 3 years, in a country in which the population is falling, the voters list has gone up by 100,000. The only people who wouldn't be voting, according to that list, will be babies in cradles. 567,000 Guyanese? Where? We are better together because APNU and AFC will sit down and decide that we're going to work towards having a clean list. That's a dirty list. And we're going to give you a clean election for not only this year, but in future years to come. We have struggled against the PPP for the last 3 years. Donald Ramatar has refused to assent to bills which have been passed jointly by APNU and AFC. We are not strangers, we've been working together, my brothers and sisters. Raphael Trotman is the leader of AFC. He could only be elected because the APNU voted for him. We aren't fighting each other. We came together and voted for the leader of the AFC to be elected Speaker of the National Assembly. We came together and voted to support the no confidence motion. We came together and voted to call for local government elections. We have been cooperating for the last 3 years, and we will cooperate in future to make sure that you have a good government and a good life. Today, I'm very proud to have with me, working together for a better Guyana, my colleague, my friend from Wim Village on the current team. What Moses said is right. You know, I do go to the events held by the Peters family because we grew up with the Peters family. When a member of the Peters family gets married, you know, they would bring the suitor, the boyfriend, to my father to have a good look over. After their own father died, my father became almost a surrogate father. None of them would get married without my father giving the stamp of approval. So that is how close our families were. And I'm glad to be able to endorse Moses Virasimi Nagamutu as my prime ministerial candidate. Because we are better together, because we together are going to give you the type of government which will give you the good life. Today, I plead with you, members of the diaspora, not only to be careful about examining what is taking place in Guyana, but to support positively this change, this transformation that Dr. Somar called for, the transformation of Guyanese political culture. We must not go back into our battle trenches. We must not go back into our caves and fight one another. We have been sitting down. PNC and WPA were never friends, you know that. But Rupert Rupnarine and David Granger can sit down today and solve problems in a consensual and a cooperative manner rather than in a confrontational manner. That is what has been taking place. For this year alone, between January and March, I've been into 20 indigenous villages in the Rupununi alone. In the Rupununi alone. And that is why I understand the issues. They have land issues. They're afraid of the logging firms and the mining firms coming into their lands. They're afraid of their children having to go and work on ranches in Brazil or become shop assistants in Lethem. I know the issues, and I believe and I'm confident that my brother Moses understands those issues as well. He is from a fishing village at Vim. He knows the problems facing fishermen and the quarantine, the problems of piracy. Miners know the issues facing them, banditry. Housewives face domestic violence. Businessmen who want to do business in Guyana face contraband smuggling. I am the one who's going to make Guyana safe for business. I'm going to make it safe for your families. And we can do it because we're working together. I'm not a lone ranger. Granger is not a stranger. Granger is a game changer. I told Rohi that I am not a danger, I'm a game changer. And the game will be changed on the 11th of November when we have support of people in the diaspora. Sorry, 11th of May. It's so when you're young. The game will be changed on the 11th of May when the residents and citizens of Guyana go forward to elect a government that is going to be led by APNU and AFC. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming out in your numbers. Already the PPP is getting photographs of what is taking place here today. They cannot stop this tide, and they cannot stop the time. It is time for change.
Let's get another round of applause for the Honorable David Granger. All right, guys, we're going to move on to the last section of the program, the question and answers. To ensure that we address as many questions as possible, there were cards around, so you're asked to write your questions down. Mr. Charles Sugrim is going to read the questions off at random, and the candidates will do their best job answering their questions. So before we go that though, there's two things. One thing I want us to reflect on, and one gentleman would like to say a poem. The one thing I want us to reflect on is this. A stalwart of ours, Mr. Lionel Peters, recently passed away. I'll ask you guys to please take a moment of silence in recognition of Mr. Lionel Peters. Thank you very much. And Christine, our deepest gratitude to you, all the hard work that Lionel has done for us. Before Charles come on to manage the program, the question and answers, there's a gentleman by the name of Mr. Carlisle Harris. Harry, sorry. Would like to say a brief poem to the candidates. Where is it? Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, Mr.
It's not a real poem, it's a numerology. Little obio. And the numerology, the number is 2. David Granger contested his first election in November, 11th month, 1 + 1 = 2. He did it in 2011, 2 by 1, 2. They signed their card in February. Today is the 22nd. Yesterday was the 21st. David and Moses came here on the 20th, 2 + 0. David's running mate is Moses Nagamu. David Granger went to Queen's College. He occupied Queenstown. And today we're there. And like the Queen, he gonna take back the throne. I don't.
Thank you very much for that. That was very appropriate. So I'm going to ask Mr. Charles Segrim to moderate questions and answers. Again, the questions are all submitted by you guys. The questions are all submitted by you guys, so we're going to get in as much as we can. We're going to allow about 30 minutes for the question and answering period, and then there's some refreshments that you guys can enjoy.
I want to thank you all for submitting your questions, and we had a lot of questions, so we'll try to get it as fast as possible. First question, constitutional reform or reconciliation, which should be given high priority? Constitutional reform or reconciliation, which should be given high priority? Next question is, will the party APNU and AFC open up to attract more civic persons? What assurance is there a legacy enforced agreement? What assurance, and is there a legally enforced agreement to prevent the AFC from being treated as the UF? What assurance Mr. Granger and the APNU have given that the Burnham years would not once again revisit the Guyanese people, more so Indo people?
Okay. All right. Thank you for those questions. Both Moses and I will answer the questions, and then we take another batch of 3 questions. I'm not Burnham, I'm David Granger. Burnham died 30 years ago, in 1985. I'm the president of the future. I'm leading Guyana into the future. I'm not leading Guyana back into the past. I have at my side Moses Nagamutu, and both of us are looking to the future, not to the past. The PNC is a part of a coalition. As I said, I'm not a Lone Ranger. I am not going to be able to dictate the policy of a 6-party coalition. We sit down at the table and we agree on policies in a consensual manner. We're moving forward. We're not moving backwards. There's no going back to the Burnham era or the White era or the Jagan era. We're going forward into an era of shared governance. We are going to establish a government of national unity. Both constitutional reform and reconciliation are necessary. We have to walk on 2 legs. No government hops on 1 leg. Constitutional reform has been suspended, as you know, in the post-Hurtmanson era. Moses was part of that process. I'd ask him to join me in giving an answer. But on the onset of elections in 2001, a decision was made to suspend the implementation of the recommendations. So there are still many unimplemented recommendations. But new issues have come about. New issues have come to our attention. New issues have to be tackled. For example, can a president prevent the holding of local government elections for 21 years? The answer is no. Obama cannot do it, and Ramadan must not do it. And we must ensure that the Constitution is strengthened, not by cherry-picking a few issues, by having a holistic approach to the issues which we have discovered over the last 3 years. President Ramataus refused to assent to bills. President Ramataus refused to acknowledge even the recommendations and resolutions of the National Assembly. And it was only on the 10th of November that he prorogued Parliament. Parliament now has not